Welcome to the Lex podcast, where all Lex Luthors meet to talk about how much we hate Superman.
I thought we agreed it was going to be the Luthor show.
As you can tell, none of us Lex Luthors like to agree on anything because I'm, of course, right.
No, and I am right.
Nope,
because we agreed that was going to be the Luthor show.
No, that's
The
stupid
first
and dumb.
thing I sent you in the first
I'm the
email,
best human being with the best brain.
I have the best brain.
I would disagree.
In my universe, I still have hair. I shaved for you.
Wow, how accommodating of you for the podcast host.
To show my superior
Yes.
intellect. I'm already
Exactly.
5 dimensions ahead of you.
God, welcome to the episode. Hello. Thank you so much for coming to our podcast where we're going to talk about Superman 2025.
What a banger. What an absolute banger of a film.
Yeah.
Okay, so just for context, before I saw this movie, we were rewatching the Christopher Reeves movies.
Really?
I cannot start. Anyone who said this movie was too campy or whatever needs to shut all the hell up.
Yeah, seriously.
Because I need to explain this. The plot contrivance that kicks off the second Christopher Reeves Superman movie is they are going to blow up the Eiffel Tower with a hydrogen bomb.
Okay.
And then Superman flies the hydrogen bomb into space and blows it up, and that releases Zod. And then, because that makes no sense,
Yeah.
Superman is just in his Fortress of Solitude, or I think maybe Lex goes to his Fortress of Solitude.
Okay.
I can't remember who, but there's just like a crystal, and the crystal is just like his mom being like, listen, Kal-El, I just had an extra crystal. I thought I'd record one of these. Maybe. Imagine you find yourself in a world where humans have solved fission and then fusion technology. And for some reason, they decided to build a bomb. Now, I know this would never happen, but assume they would turn that bomb into, I don't know, a missile and shoot it into space. And then that bomb, for whatever reason, happens to go off near this Phantom Zone jail thing. It looks like a CD album cover that would keep people in. I know you can't imagine it because you're a little kid right now, but just imagine it went off and it exploded. And again, this would never happen because no one has ever invented something like that. But if it did happen, it would release the 3 most dangerous criminals in all of Kryptonian existence. So again, this would never happen. I'm just noodling. You know what? I could have probably spent this time coming up with a way to get off Krypton.
That's what I mean. Because they sent Superman off like when he was a little baby and the planet was exploding. So I assume that like the planet just had like another half an hour to give.
Yeah.
So she's like, okay, well, hypothetically.
Here are my fan casts.
Exactly.
For who should have played the Wizard of Oz. Yeah, we also had the Wizard of Oz on Krypton.
Yeah. It's in every culture. If
yeah, we have
it.
crystals of the Wizard of Oz, and they're so good.
That's the thing about this new Superman that everybody has been dogging on is the fact that the Zack Snyder Superman was so cool.
No, it wasn't. It was objectively not. Compared to this Superman, the Zack Snyder Superman has no permission to exist.
It's just a return to form, really. And the amount of people that seem to be very upset about that, I just don't understand, because it feels like a warm hug. Literally, there was a moment when I was watching the movie where, like, of course, there's like turmoil and oh no, what's gonna happen? And then literally, I had a moment where like it's just something. Superman's gonna save the day, and I had like a moment of like my heart just like swelled of like, Superman will take care of it. It'll be great. And it was so nice. I miss that feeling of like, oh yeah, no, Superman's not gonna snap Zod's neck or whatever.
Okay, first of all, I think the original Superman, like Zack Snyder one, should have been the Black Adam movie. That would have made more sense in terms of like, oh no, I'm a gruff Jesus-like entity who will now have godlike powers. Because nothing about that Superman ever made any sense as a Superman. Like, he's not this vindictive weird god. He's just a guy doing his best. And the second and most important thing that makes this Superman awesome is that he is not a god. He's just a dude who's he is not god tier at this point. Technically, Superman never gets to god tier. He's always getting his ass handed to him in every single iteration of Superman. Even when he is god tier, there are other gods kicking his ass.
Yeah, well, it's funny because apparently both James Gunn and David Cromswet and Nicholas Hoult all said that they like used All-Star Superman as kind of the way that they tailored some of their characters like in the plot. And it's funny because All-Star Superman has like the weirdest crap going on in it that like the end of it is like, what are you talking about? And it's really fun to see kind of that return to form of Superman of like, we can go weird and we can have our own fun stuff. It doesn't need to be grounded in reality. Like, if you've seen any of the trailers, a bunch of the Justice people show up and you're like, that's great. I love this kind of universe.
Gang, the original Justice group, the
Indeed,
Justice
yes.
homies.
Indeed, and they're lovely, and I love. Oh my God, each of them steals the show in their own scene, and it's so good.
I've seen so many reviews for this. They're just like nitpicking the stupidest crap to be upset about. They're like, I wish I had seen the beginning of, like, we'll get into this in the spoilers part, but they're like, so many parts where like, I wish I'd seen this part. They bring up this part in the beginning crawl, and I wish I'd seen it. It's like, no, you don't. You fundamentally you think you want to see it, but this is a movie, and in a movie you have a finite amount of visual real estate to put things on the screen, and you think you want to see it. You do not want to see it. And I'll tell you why. Because it's not interesting. You want what is narratively interesting on screen, front and center, and they give you that. And the moment that thing is over, James Gunn does an exceptional job of immediately giving you the next narratively interesting thing. Zack Snyder is boring as shit. I'm gonna just say it right now. He sucks. Everything he does sucks. A 3-hour Snyder cut sucks. Everything he does is just super long and boring. He got lucky twice, maybe, and that's because he went off of graphic novels.
You know what I kind of love about it is the fact that, like, when Michael Bay was coming up, he loved David Fincher, and he would like try to hang around David Fincher all the time. And this is what I've heard, and that David Fincher was like, this guy's annoying, and he just likes blowing stuff up. Please leave me alone to make my weird and intense movies. And it feels kind of similar. Not the movies are very different, but the James Gunn and Zack Snyder thing, where Zack Snyder has a very distinct and intense type of filmmaking that only really lends itself to just like really crazy visuals and not much else, in my opinion. And they're good in their own way. If you like that, that's good. James Gunn, I saw an interview that was really nice where he said that, like, at the time, I think it was probably a decade ago, he was like writing 5 pages a day, and he just was constantly like writing and working on story. And it's really lovely to hear, because like all of his stories are really good and just work well as like storytelling. And then when you also have someone with really good cinematographical chops, his cinematographer also worked with him, I think on Guardians of the Galaxy 2, then you have a good team together. But if you're Zack Snyder and you have your own vision and you won't capitulate to anybody, then it's kind of frustrating. But it seems like James Gunn has really amassed a team that whenever he goes into a movie, he's just like, well, I like these actors and they work well for these parts. We have great chemistry and it's going to work out. And so it's just so nice to see that kind of work in a movie that we've seen him tackle the less mainstream things. And he still has that in this movie, where like Guardians of the Galaxy, no one knew who they were before he did it. I mean, like, we kind of knew.
No. Like, I like exactly to your point for this movie.
Yeah.
The point that like James Gunn was the ideal storyteller for this movie is the fact that he picked the obscure other like DC characters to put into this movie. The fact that like he picks Guy Gardner specifically of all the Green Lanterns to put into this movie.
Yeah.
The fact that he has Hawkgirl, the fact that he has Mr. Terrific, and then I forget. I thought he was the morph guy.
Metamorpho? Yeah. Which, like, we'll not go into much of that, but he's in the trailer.
Like, they are each narratively interesting opposites to Superman, in addition to being visually interesting and, like, powers interesting. So you're not just rehashing we want Justice League. We're setting up Justice League. He's specifically choosing characters who are going to be narratively interesting.
And yeah, that's what I mean. Like, when he came in to do Suicide Squad, I mean, he didn't take the Suicide Squad. He took like a bunch of randos that like, it was, I mean, they already kind of ruined the Suicide Squad separately. So he's like, I'm not going to use any of those guys. I'm going to show you how fun it can be to grab people that make sense for the narrative. And it really helps in a similar kind of Kevin Feige sort of way, where someone has such command over the source material that they can be like, no, this makes more sense than this. Like, instead of doing, having the Flash show up and Aquaman and literally like the Justice League show up, having these other people that are fantastic in their own ways show up. And for the people that know, they're like, these are great characters. And for the people that don't know, they're like, that's fine. It's not their movie. It's Superman. So it works out. Yeah, it's great.
But that's exactly why, like, if you have Hal Jordan as Green Lantern,
Oh my God.
there's no narrative growth there because
Yeah.
Hal Jordan is just Green Lantern Superman. He is the same like goody two shoes.
Well, same thing with like Jon Stewart. It's like
Yeah.
he's just a very nice guy, and it's like cool. Okay, well that's not very fun.
Yeah. So the fact that you have to get like a gruff jackass like Guy
Gardner. Yeah.
and then get him over to your side.
Yeah.
That is why that story is so good. And
Mhm.
that is like an example of like why he versus Zack Snyder in terms of building up. Like, we're not just going to take this graphic novel of it was like Batman Year One and Batman Returns.
Oh, you mean
together.
the only two comic books that exist, as well as the Killing Joke?
Yeah.
You mean the only Batmans we can ever adapt? Yeah.
And again, like Batman Returns is an awesome story.
Yeah.
But it is a story that basically does character assassination on Superman.
Yeah. And I mean, same thing with the Killing Joke. It's like these are really, really good comics, but they build from a base that is very good, and people already know. And so that's the thing about Superman is that you can do a Zack Snyder Superman, whatever, but it's based on and builds on because so many people have seen the Christopher Reeve Superman that they're like, okay, well, let's do something different, and that's fine. But like, that's not the basis by which you build your church. And I'm very glad that James Gunn went back to like, here's a fun little peppy guy that's like the most powerful thing in the world, and he's just really nice.
No,
It's
like he literally
so
says
good.
golly. He says
he-
all
dude,
the Christopher
my
Reeve
God.
lines.
It is so refreshing. And that's also an element that they've talked about in a lot of the interviews is that David something Sweat. I'm going to forget how to pronounce his last name, but the guy that plays Superman, he said that like they were like, well, we're not really going to do the underwear. It doesn't really make sense. We've kind of gotten past it. Zack Snyder sacrificed himself to get rid of the underwear. And then he's like, no, I think we should still have it, but let's give it a reason. Instead of it being the reason why it was there in the first place was because it was like a strong man kind of carryover from like the 50s and the 40s that like, yeah, this is what a strong man would wear. But now that doesn't make any sense. But like the fun part, and apparently what they came up with when they were making the character, is that two things. One, he's just that kind of doofy guy. Like he thinks that's cool. And I love that for him. But also that Superman hasn't been in a while someone that like kids would like. They're for the edgy teens, at least in the Zack Snyder universe. So having him in a colorful, exciting clown type outfit that children would want to approach and him being really nice is so good. And it makes a lot of sense for Superman. So for them to be like, I know we don't really need a reason to bring it back to that, but like, here's a pretty good reason that he's like a nice doofy guy that thinks it's kind of fun. And also that like kids like it. And so they're not afraid of him.
Yeah, and like the most perfect example of the doofiness is right when they cut straight from his emblem on his shirt to the like Superman logo.
Yeah,
That was a
so good.
perfect callback to the OG.
Mm-hmm.
That was a perfect like, we're back.
Yeah.
We are so back.
It felt so
All right.
good.
Do you want to get just into the spoilers or what do we got left?
The only two things I wanted to talk about really quick were Lex Luthor.
Perfect
My
casting.
God. Nicholas
Perfect.
Holt.
He carries every scene he's in.
So trivia, Nicholas Holt that plays Lex Luthor actually auditioned to play Superman. I don't know what that movie would look like, but it was
Not as
really
good.
funny. Well, he did an interview where he's like, yeah, I went and I thought I did a really good interview. And then I saw him walk in and was like, well, that was fun, but I'm not going to get it. So like he's just like, that was a perfect Superman. And so that's what ended up happening. And then he went and auditioned for, of course, Lex Luthor. And I think he's really good in that. But apparently Nicholas Holt also auditioned to be Batman before Robert Pattinson. So in that audition process. So poor guy, he's like, just give me something, please. And I think
No, he's perfect.
I'm not going to be mean, but him doing Fury Road and being bald, everybody's like, I mean, he could do it. He could be bald again and be intense. And he was so good. I miss a Lex Luthor Lex Luthor, from what I remember in the Christopher Reeve Superman, is like a little conniving, but kind of jokery. He's like very excited and bouncing off the walls.
He's not actually that smart.
Yeah.
Like you would think a guy who's supposed to be like the smartest tier 5 intellect, whatever
like
that they
height of humanity is what he thinks.
He just does not act like it in the Christopher Reeve. They do not really operate with that kind of Lex Luthor in the Christopher Reeves. He's really like he's comically bad at being a supervillain sometimes. Because like in the second one, it's like Superman literally tells him like, this machine, if we get them into it, we'll strip them of their powers. Hey, this machine. Superman just told me if we get you into it,
God.
we'll strip him of his powers. Let's put Superman into the machine. I'm literally going to die if I continue to cooperate with you, but I, as an idiot, will continue to cooperate with you.
That is part of the doofiness, but like the way that they've progressed Lex, I think, or gotten him more and more serious as things have gone on, is just so evil and conniving, and
But
I
that's
love
what's
it.
perfect. Is like this Lex Luthor, nothing that happens to him, nothing he does is on accident. Every single action he takes in this movie is on purpose. Down to the final, like a lesser movie would have made the stuff that happens at the end, the stuff that we're gonna probably get into spoilers, an accident. Oh no, this is happening and I have lost control, blah, blah, blah. No, he is doing this.
Yeah.
He is choosing to do this and he is harming this, and every word out of his mouth is in ignorance of the thing happening in front of him.
Yeah, and it's not even like a Joker style, well, I'm an agent of chaos, but I planned everything out and I have an entire like spreadsheet of how everything's going to go. It's primarily that he is so rich and also so has so many resources that as things progress, as things happen to him, he's just reacting, and he's like, oh, I care about this, I don't care about this, let's keep going. And it's very little about him having a master plan and more about him wanting to, in a Silicon Valley style way, move fast and break things. And I think that was a really good characterization for him of like, I just need the thing that I want and I'm going to do whatever I need to get it. And there are so many fan scripts that I've heard over the years. I'm talking to you, Max Landis, with your like Death and Return of Superman script. So many of them have this kind of Lex in them, and so many people have thought about like writing this for screen. And this was just such a, literally after watching it, I'm like, it's exactly what every other fan casting has kind of portrayed, and it does it really well. Of like, this is the guy that is like, I'm the peak of humanity, and for something to come from outer space and make me like a slightly number two is absurd, and I won't have it, and I'll do whatever I need to fix it. It's so good. He does a great job. And apparently, so Nicholas Hoult and David Cornsweet both were big fans of Smallville. And so apparently their characters are based on the Christopher Reeves versions, but then also the Smallville versions of their characters.
Isn't that also why it's called Luthor Corps and not Lex Corps?
I think so. I actually didn't even notice. But yeah, I'm surprised it wasn't Lex Corps.
Because Luthor Corps is like his dad's company.
So he's a spoiled little brat.
Yeah, nepotism, baby.
Makes sense. And then the one other character I wanted to talk about is Lois Lane. So what did you think about this Lois?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Because that's the thing is like Lois is like, that's the reason that Superman likes her, is because she is not bulletproof. And she acts more Superman than Superman does half the time. And also the fact that they got I forget the actress's name, but she's in the Marvelous Miss Maisel, and she's like perfectly cast. Everyone in this film is, even Jimmy Olsen, that guy was so
dude. Yeah, he is so fun, and he is like, everybody gets something to do. The only person, like, there are some people in the background that don't get too much, but like they're there and they fill out the screen and it's good. But man, she does such a good job, and it reminds me of that meme of like, well, why would somebody like really calm and timid marry someone that's like loud and boisterous? It's like, because somebody's got to tell the waitress that like, I didn't ask for these fries, and it's not gonna be me. And it's like her, that of like, she is so fiery and like has such passion about something, and is willing to step in the way of everyone else to make sure that it happens. And that's, Superman to a T, but she's a bit more pragmatic.
Well, yeah, like, now can we please get into spoilers? Because this is exactly,
let's do it. Spoilers.
Because this is exactly where we got to talk about.
Yes.
I think the most perfect and like representative scene in the movie is their like little dinner date where he is like breaks into her house and makes breakfast.
And that's the thing that's in so many of these like fan scripts, is the fact that like, to get exposition across, they're not just going to like have somebody say like, well, why is this like this? It makes a lot of sense that like she's doing an interview and he's saying that. So for that to make it to screen, I'm like, yes, oh my God, this is so good. This is such a good way to do it, to tell the audience something, because you're literally a journalist asking questions to Superman. It's very well done.
No, but there's literally 3 layers there. There's the first is like, every time you see a journalist character, you see like Spider-Man being a photographer or whatever, you never actually see someone be critical of journalism. So the fact that she's putting him on blast is like, you can't do this because you're literally asking yourself questions ahead of time. So she's first at the like highest level being like, I take journalism seriously, and like yeah, you're doing this, but you're also like not being a serious journalist. You're making fun of my craft.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the lower level, she's also putting him on blast and be like, if you really want this to happen, like, let's take this seriously, and like puts him on the spot. She's challenging him in the way that you would like, just like you said, like, who's going to be the guy who like says, I didn't order these fries, or I ordered fries, or whatever. She's the person who's going to put him on blast, hold his feet to the fire. But then there's this like crazy, like surreal moment when they are doing this interview where he is basically just like, we've all seen this, right? You see the interview and you see the person asking the questions, and you know that they're just like maliciously framing questions.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like, anyone with common sense knows the answer is this person went and did this because it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But they're going to frame it in all these weird ways to say, is like, well, was it the right thing to do for these people? It's like, they weren't in danger. They weren't going to get shot. They weren't going to get exploded. They weren't going to get, and if you can't figure out what geopolitical conflict was directly being analoged in this film, I don't know how to tell you what it is. The core, though, is that he goes back and forth on all this stuff. And then it comes down to, well, like, are you representing yourself or America or whatever? It's like, I came here. I am an alien. It's like, where is here? And that is the most perfect moment. Because this story, this mechanism of doing the interview is an excuse for them to do all that exposition, but also sets up the, how do you like throw all this stuff about Superman's backstory into a movie where we do not want to get into Superman's backstory. Like, this is the Spider-Man homecoming of Superman. Yeah. We do not care about his origin story. We do not want to do the Uncle Ben died, great power, great responsibility of Superman. We don't want to do all this stuff. We're in the middle of a Superman story and we just want to get to the good stuff.
Well, and it's funny because they did the same thing in the Henry Cavill Superman, where they're having an interview with Lois Lane, and she asks, like, it's the silliest thing. Like, they bring him in handcuffs, and then she's like, where are you from? Oh, this means hope on my planet. And it's the most nothing conversation. It's very bare bones and nothing even, they barely even talk about anything. But this one is a couple talking and like kind of fighting a bit about like, oh, you don't take my craft as seriously. You're saying that Superman had this conversation when you imagined it. You didn't actually ask yourself any hard-hitting questions. She's kind of proving that in the moment, and she doesn't even mind that she's kind of like pushing a bit hard on her boyfriend / Superman. But then also, there's such a good moment, and like you mentioned, where is here? And so yeah, he crash landed on Earth. Does he stand for truth, justice, and the American way, or does he stand for all of humanity? And I love the fact that and so many people got really mad that this was like in the trailer, and they were like, why is Superman being such a like weird guy about this? And he sounds like exasperated in this conversation. He's like, yeah, he's a guy from Kansas. But when he says the people were gonna die, that's it. He just has such a reverence for life in all forms that he's gonna do whatever he needs to make sure that everybody lives, at least.
Yeah.
And so yeah, having somebody approach the conversation from well, geopolitically that actually was a bad thing because blah 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 blah, and then being like, people are gonna die. I don't really care. Like, at the end of the day, I want everybody to be safe and happy. And if that's going to step on some guy invading's toes, that's okay, you know?
I want to actually build on what you just brought up, but the last thing I want to say about that scene is like, and the last thing I got to bring up is it rewards you as a viewer because like the Zack Snyder version was like baby's first attempt at that. It's okay, it's an interview, it is what it is. This version is like, we know you're smart. We know you, the viewer, are smart. Yeah. And to reward you, it feels so engaging because the scene, you are constantly code switching between them trying to interview and them being a couple.
Yeah.
And them constantly being like, well, you can't say that.
Yeah.
Well, it's on the record. Well, it's off the record. Well, you're supposed to say it like you know this, Clark. Yeah. You are a reporter. Like, so you're constantly seeing them jump back and forth between these different versions of themselves. And it's stimulating.
Yeah.
And you, as the viewer, feel rewarded for watching it because you understand the characters on all these different levels.
Yeah. The intro to screenwriting version is kind of the Zack Snyder one of like, Lois and Superman are having a conversation. Oh, it's about this. I have these written things. But the more layers you add, like you said, of like Lois having something to prove a little bit because she's an actual journalist and trying to be very serious about it, but them also being in a relationship, and Superman also like being Clark Kent. And it's written so well that like I love those kind of scenes that don't really exist outside of this movie. Like you couldn't write that the same way for something else. And James Gunn is so good of like thinking, well, why is this special? Like, why is this moment special and interesting? And how do I draw that out? And he does it so well in that scene. And like you said, if we're talking about Superman's origin story, I think we should dial back to the very beginning with that text that comes up of the intro, because I agree with you. Y'all saw Spider-Man Homecoming. You saw Civil War. We know how Spider-Man do. And I think Superman's been rebooted or at least recast just as many times, if not more. When we know what happened, we know what it is, okay? So for us to have so many people online saying like, well, I wish that we saw the stuff that happened before the title crawl. I'm like, why? He got beat up. Like,
no, it's not even the beat up. It's like, we wish we saw him go and stop this incursion where this country that
like the invasion, whatever.
Yeah, people wanted to see that part. It's like, see what? Him show up and punch a tank and then say, stop it? And then go. Like, they slowly reveal that information to us through dialogue throughout the film and through character reaction. That's all you really needed. There's nothing interesting about watching Superman do any of that. The fact that they eventually pay that off at the end of the movie by having the like characters he's inspired come to do that and have it be so much more visually interesting by having Guy Gardner do that by like flicking off all the tanks.
Dude,
that is a million times better than anything that you could have possibly imagined Superman doing with his fists.
Yeah, and for the same reasons that like things are more interesting when it's a scene like that that's kind of like, okay, well, yeah, they could have shot it and it would have taken 5 minutes of the movie. But like the fact that it's slowly teased out to you as the movie goes along does add more interest. You're like, oh, what happened there? What's going on? And then as it's revealed that like people are talking about why he shouldn't have done that. And this is the only controversy that Superman's ever had. And the controversy is he stopped a guy from invading like a helpless, place. And it's just Superman. It's what he does. So seeing I don't know, probably one issue comic not happen is fine. I don't mind.
Yeah, but on top of that, the beauty of it is the entire conflict is manufactured. Yeah. No one actually thought it was a bad thing that Superman stopped a country from invading and killing a bunch of innocent people. The only people who are, and it's very clear throughout the movie, think it's a bad thing is the president of the country that did it. The random people who make up the media who want an excuse to like interview him and create backlash,
like both sides,
and
of it.
A literal monkey farm that Lex Luthor's created in a pocket dimension for the sole purpose of generating the outrage that gives him the excuse to go after Superman, because he is unambiguous throughout the film of saying, I did not like want to fight you to create an excuse to invade this country. I invaded a country for the excuse to fight you. Like he has no interest whatsoever in anything outside of killing Superman.
And additionally, it's such a good way to start the movie, because I agree with like so many people that say like the movie should start where the story starts. And of course the story technically started when we'll go way back. But I think that like Superman getting beat to hell and like seeing that he's not, all powerful, and also seeing that Lex can win, or like the totality of Lex's like sycophants behind computers working against Superman, I think is a way better place to start. It's not only more interesting, but also you see where we are. You're in medias res and you see like this is how the world is working. We have Superman who is trying to do good. He gets knocked into the middle of the polar ice caps. And then we see that his dog is a menace, but also we see that like Lex Luthor has not only so much, like the montage of Lex Luthor's power was incredible. That not only we pan in on the hammer of Boravia, and then the hammer goes off to the middle of nowhere and then comes back around through a portal into his penthouse, whatever, for his office. And we see like literally his ability to beat up Superman is a product of like all of these other people that he has brainwashed into working with him and like loving everything he does. But he's running it like a coach at like a football game, and he's like high-fiving everybody. He's like, oh, you couldn't have done it without you. I'm like, yes, that's it. That's great. If something goes well, then it is a factor of the fact that he is so good at dictating how things go that like that's just good Lex, I think. And that his ability to then like proceed to like, okay, now I'm going to go over to Boravia, talk to the minister, comes back, have my Ultraman and all these other things, and then go wheel and deal at the Pentagon. Like, he is just so resource rich that he can just do all of these things. And that, I think, is a great way to start with who he is, where we are, what the antagonist is basically going to be doing. And then we also have Superman and what his resources are. And he has a dog and a lair that he barely knows how to work, like with a bunch of robots that are like smarmy, and he doesn't really have that much of a synergy. And so it's an underdog story in a weird way. And I love that you could start off Superman on the back foot like that.
Yeah,
You know, it's
no,
a great way to
that's
start.
very important, because the entire point of the movie is, like, the James Gunn does this very intentionally. Every single thing that happens is immediately met with a new challenge. The moment, like, he recovers just enough to go get his ass beat again. First of all, very good. It tells us, like, this is the kind of Superman you're dealing with. He's a guy who is going to keep putting his ass on the line to protect people, even though he knows he's going to get cooked. And then every single time, like, all right, I'm going to go fight. I'm going to go, like, there's this big monster. I want to protect it because I don't think it deserves to die this horrible way. And even when they do defeat it and everything's supposed to be so good, he's immediately met with, all right, now there's this like weird harem thing. And then there's,
yeah.
all right, now that I'm going to go deal with that, it's like, oh no, there's what happened to the dog. And then he's dealing with, like, every single thing, every single like step forward is immediately met with a new challenge that keeps it interesting. Again, Zack Snyder, every other iteration of Superman or most superhero movies in recent memory, they always have like a victory, and then there's like a really like long, kind of like boring, like, yeah, we're just gonna kind of hang out until the next thing. This one was very good about setting up the next challenge, and finding a way to make it not just Superman's problem. It wasn't just Superman's problem. Lois needs to figure out what's going on, but Lois obviously doesn't have the contact. Jimmy has the contact. Jimmy's going to get the information, and then Lois is going to make the story, and they're going to team up with Perry to send out the story that's going to help give Superman the clout he needs to survive after he wins the fight.
Exactly. And the fact that like Lex could pay a bunch of people to do all of those things, but like Superman has the soft power of like, they're all friends and they all like him, and it's the right thing to do. Like, it's very important that's the thing. That's
also the core of his character. That's the core of his arc. Is the entire point of the movie is Superman is a good dude, and by constantly being a good dude and standing up for what he believes is right, he wins over everyone to his side by the end of the movie. At the start of the movie, everyone's like, why are you doing this stupid crap? Why aren't you just killing the monster? Why aren't you just doing this? Why are you why are you interrupting other people's conflicts? Why aren't you going to meddle in other people's business? By the end of the movie, he's got the Justice gang meddling in other people's business. He's got all these other people doing the kind of journalism that he was trying to do, where they're trying to like paint specific things and saying like, this is just wrong. We should just be talking about it.
Well, that, and I mean, as a great example, like, you can't intimidate everybody to do everything. I think Metamorpho was a great example of that. Of like a dude who has just been beaten down by Lex and like taken everything from him, including his child. And he's just like, dude, I just need to get out of here and see my child. I don't care what it looks like. And then for somebody to show that like, no, this is a good person. I'm hurting. I need to work with them to achieve my goals. And then Metamorpho joins his side, and then he joins the Justice Gang, and it's great. And it shows that like Lex bending people to his will is momentarily fine, I guess, but in the long term, horrible. And that Superman's doing the work. You know, he's convincing people that he's a good person. And so much so that we're talking about like the news cycle, right? A little bit about like, okay, well, you know, we're both siding him stopping the Baravian invasion. But at the same time, there's the moment where that like message comes out about his like parents saying that like, oh, you should get a harem and, you know, take over the world. And there's only like a day of news cycle in which people believe that. And then soon after, literally are on the news like, we're sorry, Superman. We give an official apology that that's not actually what happened, because of course, like, it's them talking about like, yeah, no, Superman's a good person. And I think that that's the point, is that like maybe the news cycle might like be against you for a moment if they find that something bad happened, or I don't know, your parents did something bad or said a bad thing, but then you stopped the end of the world ripping in half. I think we understand that you're a good person at heart. Like, it's like the narrative, you know?
That part as like a narrative works, but
Yeah.
it is still a little naive because of the fact that like the news cycle in this movie is dependent on Lex. Lex
Exactly.
owns the news cycle. He's to get real, the Rupert Murdoch of their world.
Sure. He's every billionaire.
Yeah, he's
like they lumped
he
it
is
all into
the
one.
money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Them giving this like, oh, at the moment that Lex is caught, all of a sudden all the like moneyed interests that would usually be saying Superman is the worst guy in the world would suddenly stop being jerks about it. That wouldn't be realistic. But
Of course.
the like core message that the movie wants the viewer to get is very actionable, which is just don't be a dick. Don't
Yeah.
fall for the stuff that the like people on TV and the people online keep telling you, because what they're actively trying to show you is the thing that's actually happening, which is like people are just making crap up and farming outrage for the
Yeah.
sole purpose of pushing what they want. That is actually how our world works. It doesn't matter if there's a superpowered alien who's actually trying to do good or regular normal people who are trying to do good. And the movie makes a very clear message to say like, this is actually actionable. By the end of the day, when you leave this movie theater, if you see people who are trying to do good and you see people who are trying to tell you that those people who you know are doing good are doing bad, the people who are telling you otherwise are full of crap.
Yeah, I mean, especially for Superman himself, like he has this existential moment of like, wait, I was brought here to do a terrible thing. And like, I think everybody in the audience was just like, but you haven't. Like, you're a good person and
Exactly.
everybody can see that.
Your actions speak louder than this random narrative that someone has made up about you. And
Exactly.
I gotta go back to like one of my favorite Superman stories is Superman Red Sun, because it's an example of this. So do you know Superman Red Sun? That's
Is
when
that
he
the one
lands in
where-
Soviet Russia.
Yes.
And basically in that one, even if Superman landed in the USSR, he would just still be like built to be a good person. The point is that the core person that is Superman, whether he was like landed on a planet where he was like raised by evil people or good people, or his parents told him to be a bastard or a good person, he would have still fundamentally wanted to be good.
Well, yeah. And now that you've said that, I really want to get to the Kents.
Yes.
Because my God, what a great way to show, like you said, people that know you. If you are, you know, for whatever reason, I don't know, you were walking on the street and then somebody had like their phone out and they recorded you, I don't know, picking your nose, and that made it onto TikTok, and now you think that your like life is over. Everyone else in your life is going to be like, you're fine, you're a good person, it's okay, you picked your nose in public, it's not a big deal. And it's so refreshing, so good to see a Ma and Pa Kent that are just like so down to earth and really don't care that much about the fact that he's Superman. They're like, is our boy going to survive? And she's like, yeah, he just needs some time to rest. And like, thank God, or the dad's just a bunch of mush, Jonathan Kent. And nothing made me more happy. I was just singing about this after the movie, about when they're sitting on the porch and Pa Kent could not give a crap about anything else except, hey, we went into town the other day and you remember these people and we did this and this and that. And
We went to a Mexican restaurant and ate a burrito.
Yeah, but it's so reminiscent of like you maybe haven't seen your parents in a while and they couldn't give a crap about all of the drama in your life. They just want to talk to their kid. And it was so charming. And like he even asked, he's just like, well, you know the stuff that's been going on in the world, right? And he's like, so what? Like, what does that have to do with you? And there was a moment that like apparently James Gunn really wanted that specific guy cast because he just like seems like the most real human being. And when he like looks at Clark and they have that close up on his face, I don't even think I remembered what he said. It was just so charming and nice and being like, you're just a good person. And you could see like his eyes moving because he has like glaucoma or something. And it's like, this is a person that loves his child and he's here to comfort him. And he's just giving him an ear to listen, but he's also saying like, you know, you're not a bad person. It was one of the best scenes in a comic book movie, and James Gunn is so good at this, of like the human moments of people just like connecting on a really fundamental level. He also
so really loves, now that I think about it, doing the thing where like, yeah, your dad is evil, but now your new dad is not evil.
His big thing is like
he did it with Yondu. He did it here too.
He did it with Yondu, did it here too, did it with Rocket. He is so good at the found family thing, especially, I mean, that was whole Guardians of the Galaxy thing. But like, I think that it is very kind of everything we've talked about. It rings true in a lot of his movies of like there's a big entity that has a lot of resources, but it's very unhuman. And then you have these people that have banded together and that are connected by their humanity and are going to fight back. And because they're working together in such a way, they're able to do it. And for him to have it, you know, his lowest point, show up back at his house and like them all just talk and hang out is so nice. And I'm so glad that they didn't decide to go with, I don't know, some random actors that we all know. And God, man, I really hate that Zack Snyder thing with Pa Kent. And like it makes
stay back, son. I will die in this tornado for literally no reason.
That, and he's just like, you should have let the children die in the bus so you wouldn't reveal that you're Superman. Like, what are we doing, man? But like, yeah, that montage at the end, like, I've seen that. Jess has told me that her TikTok is now inundated with spoilers for Superman. But like the part where it plays like the punk rocker song and like his family videos are going around, it is so funny that like all of the contrived stuff we think about superheroes of like, yeah, Superman gets the crap beat out of him. He goes back to the Fortress of Solitude and they're like, we're going to play the message from your parents because it soothes him. And he's not like, oh, don't say it like that. He's like, yes, it does. I'm glad you're playing it. This is a good thing. And then, so yeah, he's just such a genuine person that like at the very end, he's back in the chair. They're like, hey, we're going to play the message from your parents. It soothes him. And it's the videos. It's so good. It's such a good way to bring the whole movie full circle.
Yeah. And the like way they also set it up throughout the movie. Like, I just love it when they do that narratively where they just keep saying a thing over and over again in any story, like a book or a movie. And then at the end of the movie, they just change it a little bit to change the meaning of it.
Apparently James Gunn deliberately said that like the message from his parents had to be genuine. He's like, it wasn't going to be like a fake thing Lex made up. Him realizing that he doesn't need to conform to the idea that his parents like literally sent him to Earth for is important.
Yeah, like his dad literally says like, parents just give you tools to make a fool of yourself, but it's up to you what you actually do with them.
Yeah,
because that's just what, like, oh man, I was tearing up so hard at the end just because it's like, yeah, I too will be making a fool of my child.
Aw, yeah, it's just, man, it's so good. One element I want to touch on is the dog. So
dog was great.
Krypto, super dog. I am glad they made him. So apparently Krypto is based off of James Gunn's actual dog named Otis. Do you know about this at all?
Okay, well, to be clear, Krypto is an actual dog in the actual comics, but also this specific Krypto is based off of Otis.
The characterization of Krypto, yes. Because Krypto in the comics is like, you know, the adorable, like, loyal
sometimes
pet.
Dependable, usually a menace.
Yeah. And like in the way that like a dog would be written in a comic. But this one in particular, apparently James Gunn and his wife adopted him, I don't know how long ago, but he was just a menace. And he would apparently he came from a bad situation. And so he would just tear stuff up. James Gunn even said that he ate his laptop, like just destroyed the thing. And apparently the idea for this version of Krypto came from how much of their house Otis destroyed, and he was just thinking how bad would it have been if he had superpowers. And so then that's where this Krypto comes from.
That's the reason Krypto is such a good addition to this movie, is because how he is the same way that like Clark is dealing with this like question of like how he should live up to this weird thing that his expectation of his parents. He's being a parent to Krypto.
Yeah.
He is literally Krypto is unruly, and he's like not trying to get him under. Like, this is another example of how he is supposed to be like unconditionally loving a creature that is just a menace. And also perfect juxtaposition for how Lex is literally super controlling of even Ultraman, who you later realize is a clone of Superman, to the point that he has like those like weird like letter number chess move things that he calls out to be super controlling of Superman, and how that makes him basically useless once he has no way of fighting him. Whereas because Clark just understands and lets Krypto be Krypto, Krypto is actually very good at like helping him multiple times throughout the movie, because he just understands the dog without forcing the dog to do anything.
Yeah, he meets Krypto where Krypto's at, and Lex wants Ultraman to be who he wants him to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's great. That's a great way to characterize it. Additionally, with that Ultraman. So in, I think it's Earth 3,
Mm-hmm.
Superman in this alternate universe is evil. The Hall of Justice is now
Mhm.
an evil place, and all of their nemesis are the good guys. And that Superman is named Ultraman.
Mhm.
And so if you didn't, if you were a reader of the comics, you might have already picked up on like, huh, that's what they called the alternate Superman. And then for him to be revealed as a clone, it's like, hey, there it is. Huh, it works out. So I thought that that was a fun little Easter egg in there if you're thinking about it. But it also, for all of the reasons that you talked about, was such an interesting reveal of like Superman's not Superman without his like conscience.
Mhm.
You know, if he's just a puppet, then he is far inferior. It was a really good way to kind of show that.
Yeah, there was also something that I was curious about was typically when Lex clones Superman, he never gets a good copy, so
Yeah,
he has
yeah.
to supplement it with part of his own DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So like in Young Justice and whatever they do, like Kid Superman and stuff,
Yeah.
that young Superman usually is half Lex Luthor,
Yeah, right.
and he has to wrestle with that part of himself. I think it was very intentional to like bring home the fact, like, if you didn't understand that this is our Elon Musk parody,
Mhm.
Ultraman looks like a Cybertruck. He's
Oh
just
my
a
God, you're right.
chromed out,
Yeah.
crappy version of Superman.
People have also said that he's like one of the Palantir executives because
He is
yeah,
LexCorp is a combination of Palantir and I think it's Andrew. It's
That
the
was it.
name
Yes,
of
yeah.
like Palantir is like the data side. They're all the like weird. We're taking all the data and using it for warfare.
Mhm.
And then Andrul is like their like one of their friends started another company that's named after like Aragorn's sword, as opposed to the
okay.
Palantiri from Lord of the Rings. And that is specifically for weapons manufacturing that like partners with Palantir.
Well, and that was the thing, is that when they go to that black site off in the middle of nowhere, everybody wearing the Hawaiian shirts is apparently like exactly like one
Exactly.
of
Yeah,
those
yeah, yeah, yeah.
executives. Yeah, he just wears Hawaiian shirts. James Gunn has such a good way of making things uncanny and like feel weird without having to do much. And that was really it, is that these people are like,
No, that's the sad part. Is like
Yeah.
the world is just uncanny now. He's
yeah.
not doing anything uncanny. He's just showing you what the world is now and you didn't realize it.
yeah, but it just reminded me that like these are like they're working for LexCorp, you know, they're creating all these weapons and stuff like that. And then you go over to their black site and they're all just playing music and chilling around in Hawaiian shirts, lazing around. And then Mr. Terrific shows up and they're like, hey, you're not supposed to be here. Like, it's not really a, oh, someone has broken our airspace. It's really just like a, hey, what are you doing here? Like, kind of thing. Like, everybody's so nonchalant.
Yeah, I love there's there's actually like the same way there's like the Hippocratic oath for doctors.
Yeah.
There's a Hippocratic oath for engineers. And someone
Oh
like
my
took it,
God.
it was like, I as an engineer will never use my talents for harming others unless it's to get that bag and harm people who have darker skin than me. And so like they just like taken it and like
God,
edited
yeah.
the like words to be like more honest to the
Jeez.
fact that
Yeah.
Northrop Grumman and Lockheed Martin exist.
I mean, it was all over when Google took the do no evil off their wall.
And
Yeah.
that's a microcosm of what that entire space is supposed to be. It's just like you have all these extremely talented, clever people who are clearly just getting that bag.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
this is an indictment of like people who work in the tech industry, people who work in engineering, people who work anywhere who, whether they know it or not, their contributions are directly leading to
Yeah.
the harm of other people.
Well, it really had an element of that. I think it was the Ashton Milgram experiment, where it was like I was just following orders. Like
Mhm.
people were experimented to see that like a lot of people would just do a bad thing because someone in authority told them. And I don't think it was better explained than that moment where the literal world is being torn apart, and one guy is like, "What are you doing? You can't do this." And Lex is like, "Shut up," and he's like, "Okay." Like, dude literally had the ability to stop the whole thing. And then when Mr. Terrific shows up, he's like, hey, the code's right here. It's like, dude, you could have pressed the button at any time, but you didn't because you have a weak spine and you were going to just capitulate to authority. And then Mr. Terrific shows up. He's like, I know, shut up. I'm Mr. Terrific.
Also,
I'm
I
like,
absolutely
yes,
like.
great.
I love the like rock paper scissors of Superman, Lex Luthor, and Mr. Terrific. Every time they're in a scene, they each steal the scene from each other.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Mr. Terrific, like he walks into that scene and is like, "Do you need help? I'm goddamn Mr. Terrific. I don't need nothing."
It's so awesome. I love he really stole the show for me. I loved his
He
stuff.
was fantastic.
Apparently his mask, they deliberately, like, he was told that, like, hey, you're gonna have a mask. He's like, oh, that sucks, I don't want to do that. And they're like, no, we're gonna like put it on your face so you're still emoting through it. And he's like, hell yeah, that sounds great. And it really shined through, and I love that. Especially just, I love a techie character. Man, it's so fun to me. I love every time somebody's just hovering on a computer. And for him in particular, the actor apparently went and read. He knew he was reading for Superman, like the movie. So he initially thought he was going to be Lex Luthor, or like was reading for Lex. I could see it. I'm way better now because apparently, like, they're thinking about doing a Jimmy Olsen and Mr. Terrific movie or like show. I'd watch the hell out of it.
What even
So
would that
good.
be like?
Jimmy getting hit on by everybody, and Mr. Terrific like just smarmy looking at it while he saves the day.
That'll work.
That fight scene, so good. That's like, it reminded me of the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and 3, where like they're in a room and they're all just going around kicking everyone's ass. And it being put to the Fun in the Sun song was so fun. I mean, like James Gunn really knows how to like pick the perfect song for the moment and just put it in there and let it play and not like feel like you need to do anything else. It was, man, as soon as that happened, I'm just like, yay, more of this.
That's also the simplest thing that I like about the way James Gunn uses music or things like that is like when you're writing a character or you want to do anything with the character and make them feel real, just give them attachments or hobbies or like any sort of thing that you would have. Like the fact that Superman is arguing with Lois Lane over their favorite bands and what they think is punk rock. That is just a very human conversation. If you want to characterize that Superman has lived a life where he was a teenage boy at one point listening to music and that he is a human being, that conversation sells it harder than anything else.
Hell yeah.
It
I
doesn't,
agree.
like, you don't like, and then they pay it off later by putting him in his child. Like if you had never gone to his childhood home, never sat in his childhood room and seen the like posters of whatever the made up Mighty Crabs band. Are they a real band? I don't know.
I don't think so because their theme song was in the credits and it was written by James Gunn or something.
I couldn't tell after a while because how often they were confidently talking about it.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, there's just such a fun element that like I could see some like teenagers going home afterwards and be like, I never heard any of those bands. And the one confident one that's like, yeah, no, they've been around forever. Yeah, no, I totally know about those bands. And like
the Mighty Crabs have been around since the original Superman comics.
Yeah, exactly. No, Lois Lane knew what she was talking about. No, that's totally right. And that's where Joss Whedon kind of took the world by storm with like the Avengers movies, is how much is like, wow, they talk like us. They're kind of like fun and quippy like us. But there wasn't really much substance to the quips. It was just somebody making like a quick comment. It really wasn't much. But like substantive like dialogue is ones where like people are having a back and forth and you can feel the chemistry. And this movie is full of that. Even when Jimmy Olsen is like trying to get the keys to the kingdom and like get the very most pertinent information he needs. And then she's like, we're going to spend the weekend together, right? He's like, the whole weekend? It's like, yeah,
My
dude,
guy.
please just take the L. It's
My
okay.
God, it's not even an L.
Yeah,
She
right?
seems fine.
God, and then when they put her in the Hague or whatever, that big box room, and then say, oh, she was sending
The
sexy
literal
selfies.
pan-dimensional Guantanamo Bay, if that was not obvious to you.
It is, well, and that's the thing that I've heard a lot of people say about the interpretations of the movie, is that at a different time, it could be interpreted differently. But we're kind of in a moment here where like all of the symbolism really, intentional or not, comes through. And apparently James Gunn on Twitter, like people have gone back through like a bunch of his likes and stuff. And so much of it is like him commenting, or not even commenting, but like keeping up with like modern politics. So I don't think any of that stuff was unintentional.
No, like people originally thought that the two countries were Russia, Ukraine.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then it's like, because the guy seems very Russia, like all the people around him are very like Russian speaking,
apparently
Russian
he's
sounding.
speaking Bosnian. Somebody in the audience said they're like, that was Bosnian.
Yeah. So it's like very clearly like Russian. The people around him are talking Russian, but then the guy he's talking about is like, that's very clearly a guy who comes and talks in the Senate every once in a while.
we know what's going on.
Yeah.
Them throwing so much stuff at the wall that they find a pocket dimension. And then like, man, I love Mr. Terrific being like, dude, this is so stupid that you guys went out of your way, that instead of buying an island on planet Earth, you guys were doing whatever experiments to make a pocket dimension. Then you made that your prison. Like, what is wrong with you people? And it's such a good example of like I said, the moving fast and breaking things. Oh, I guess we'll make lemonade from these lemons and keep all of my dissidents in here indefinitely. And it's such a comic book movie that like there's no holes to feed these people. Like these people are held here in some sort of stasis where they can just live forever in his detention. And I really didn't think that there would be a moment in this movie where I second guessed like, are they really gonna do that? Until they like brought in the guy from the earlier scene.
Yeah,
And,
like they just brought in the guy off the street and we're just like Russian rouletting him into like, oh, I thought that was gonna go longer.
Well, yeah, and they like treat it like so. It's such an incredible job that they could have built that scene with so much tension that you're like, they're not gonna do it, right? And then when it happens, like it's startling and sad and horrible, and especially you see like Superman like lamenting the dude's
Well, the
death,
Metamorpho
but
feels it. Like that's
exactly,
the beauty of
yeah.
it, is like it's so annoying when it's freaky to you and none of the characters in
That's
the
what I
movie
mean.
react to it. Is like the both of them in the thing are like reacting to it.
Yeah, in like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang or something else, that there are similar moments like that. In another movement, they could have made that like a levity moment. And I'm so glad that they were just like, no, these are horrible people. This is like a horrible situation. And they're laughing at the death of a human being. And it's, man, it really puts things in perspective, but it's also just like, I can't believe they did that. I did not expect them to go that far. Like the filmmakers. And then when you see it, you're just like, oh my God, this is it. Man, it really hit. It really hit really hard. And especially for a reason for Metamorpho to switch, it was so good that he's especially just like, I got to get out of here, man. Like this is, I can't trust that guy anymore. And it, like we said, goes into the fact that like when you are holding someone against their will with nothing but intimidation, that only gets you so far. They'll understand that they just need to get out, that there's no reasoning with it. And man, that was such a good scene. As well as Metamorpho is also acted by the guy from Barry, the guy with alopecia.
Really?
The bald dude. Yeah. He's in a bunch of interviews. And I was like, damn, that's a really good cast for him.
No clue.
Yeah.
I love that guy.
I'm so glad that he was in this movie. And I really want to see him in more stuff because he just seemed like a genuine and nice kind of character to have in the background of stuff, and like a little bit naive and fun to have around. And that entire sequence with them trying to escape this pocket dimension was so fun and exciting. And like him going down a river of protons or whatever, and like trying to save this baby. Like, I'm like, this is quintessential Superman from like the Reeves era, but with the modern like space opera crazy crap. Like it was fun and enjoyable, and a bit of levity after that, like a really tough scene. Like, man, God, that just really stuck with me, that moment.
And I like the part where like gave him stuff to do. Like that was the thing that made this movie so good, is again, everyone had something to do. No, like Superman was not just all powerful.
Yeah.
And so that really rewarded him being able to bring people over to his side. So it didn't just feel like he could have just solved all the problems at any given time. The whole part at the end where they're about to shoot. Imagine being the actor who you're like told like, all right, here's what you're gonna do. You're going to shoot a child.
Yeah. You're gonna have the beat on a child.
You're going to shoot a child, and then the Green Lantern is going to stop you and then beat your ass at the last minute.
Oh, so good. But
yeah, it would be an honor.
But yeah, exactly that. That like the entire point being that like Superman went out and stopped the invasion at the first time, and now for him to have inspired his friends to be like, hey, he said he called in a favor, but they were welcome to do it. They're like, you know what, that's the right thing to do. We're gonna go do it. And it was a fun montage. Like what a good time to be like, yeah, cool. These people are stopping murder. It's good to see.
Like that's the thing though, is like you feel like there shouldn't be ambiguity. Like the people keep talking about like it's so weird that there's like not these unambiguous like moments anymore. And it was like, yeah, that's why we set it up this way, so that you would have this moment at the end of the movie where there's an unambiguous win.
Yeah.
There's no feeling bad for them beating up. And that's the craziest part. Is like normally you just have like all these CGI monsters getting beat up, or you'd have all these robots getting beat up. These are human beings getting beat up who are about to invade another country and kill other human beings. Think about when was the last time you saw a movie end like that?
Well, and that is just so refreshing, because like there's always that big sky beam. They do that in so many, especially the DC movies, where there's just like a sky beam at the end of the movie. And I'm glad that this one had far more stakes in two ways. One, it reminded me, this is going to sound really stupid, but it kind of reminded me of the end of The Dark Knight, where there's like two boats, you can only save one, and which one are you going to choose? But like the power of human spirit will cause both of them to be saved on their own because people aren't as bad as you think they are. And so one, the Justice Gang, but then also him, Superman, going to try to stop the whole world separating like a zipper, and having that entire like CG fight with the engineer and Ultraman was like fun and cool in its own right. But like Mr. Terrific's he'll fix it. It'll be fine. Having those kind of stakes is just so refreshing. Instead of there being a giant laser beam in the sky and
with ambiguous consequences. These are very literal. Like, if they don't stop right now, this child will be shot.
Yeah,
there was unambiguous that you see Green Lantern's shield stop the bullet.
Yeah,
and then he's just so smug about it. And that's the best. God, Nathan Fillion finally playing Green Lantern was such a payoff.
It's so good because Nathan Fillion and James Gunn are apparently like best friends. He said it in interviews. And so James Gunn, like Nathan Fillion deliberately said, he's like, he has to have the bowl cut. They wanted to get rid of the bowl cut, and he's like, he has to have the bowl cut. And then James Gunn, like, I heard that before, but then apparently in all of the interviews I saw, James Gunn's like, well, but we had to make it look really bad. Like, I wanted to make sure, why would I cast my best friend in this if I can't make him look really stupid? So it's fun to see them like kind of messing around like that, and just man, such good casting.
This reminds me of, was it This Is the End, where Michael Cera, they wanted to put Michael Cera in it because like he knew the Seth Rogen and the gang, and they're like, we want you in it, but like just being awful.
You're just a
and
total
like, I know like you probably don't want to do this. Like, oh, I absolutely do, but I have like one note. It's like, oh, like you don't want to. Like, no, I just want to wear a windbreaker. What?
I love that.
Like, just when like the actor knows the assignment, it was like, absolutely.
Well, that, and apparently, I mean, this is separate trivia for another time, but apparently like when they were doing the house party and he was just being a total asshole, the moment when he slaps Rihanna's ass and then she slaps him, he said, he's just like, what if I like slap your ass to be an asshole? And she's like, I'm gonna slap you. And then she's just like, okay. And then she's just like, I'm gonna do it. And so apparently like that scene is just real. Like, she genuinely was just like, if you do it, I'm gonna slap the crap out of you. And then she did. So that's like a real hit on screen. It's very good. But yeah, back to Superman. I mean, like all of the characters, all the superhero characters just had such a good chemistry with each other. And fun fact, this one caught me by surprise. The woman that plays Hawk Girl, I love Hawk Girl. I always enjoy, I think that she's just such a funny character to have when you have all of these gods, and then you have basically a Valkyrie, and that's like the most that she has a big mace, and that's that. And it's fine.
So she's important in the rock, paper, scissors of the DC universe.
Sure.
But yeah, like she's also the actress. She's fantastic.
Now it's really funny. Because, well, first of all, I loved every time she entered a scene, she's just screaming. Awesome. I love that. But also, that actress has been in so many things recently. She was in Alien Romulus. She was in Last of Us.
Yeah.
And then, I don't know if you remember this, but this is one of her earliest credits. She was Dora the Explorer in the Dora the Explorer movie.
She was the original Dora the Explorer? How did I not remember that?
Yeah, it was in the Lost Gold or whatever.
Yeah. That movie kicked ass.
I know, right? So that was her. I think that was like kind of when she did more movies. She was doing shows and stuff like that before that. But it's just really funny that I'm like, yeah, I've seen her and everything. She was also in Transformers Last Night. She was like, yeah, she was just like had a friend robot and the robot died. So she also has worked with Michael Bay, I guess.
That's awful.
But
I feel so bad for her now.
Me too. But long story short, she's been in so much stuff. I'm like so happy that she's just like, and apparently like in the interviews that I saw with her, they're just like, you good? You getting like enough water and stuff? Like this seems like a lot to do. And she's like, I'm busy all the time and I love it. I'm like, hell yeah. She even brought her dog to the interviews and it's just sitting on her lap. Last thing that I want to say is a bit of trivia. Was there anything else you wanted to say about the movie before we get into more trivia? Because I'm just on a roll with trivia.
It was so good. And the last thing I want to say is I don't understand why anyone was upset about the part where people were just like jiving with the fact that the city is always under attack.
Oh yeah, well
it's just always under attack. Yeah, of course.
But that's
that makes
like
sense
in the comic book.
Yeah, that's just makes sense.
Yeah.
That just is happening.
And man, I love that scene where like he's trying to save this alien, and like everybody's just like, "Oh, it's Superman," and he's just like, "Can we get this dog out of here? Like out from under this thing's foot? Like, can we all just lend a hand a little bit?"
Why is no one evacuating?
Yeah, exactly. And they're like, "You'll handle it. It'll be fine." And they don't realize how close they are to Armageddon, and there's one guy doing it. And I think by the end of the movie, we see that like even though the Justice Gang show up and they're just like, I don't care if we kill this big monster, and then they don't even mind where it falls and everything. And Superman, yeah, that's when I think I remember him saying like golly gee or stuff like that, of him just being like, guys, can we just please all lend a hand? I love the fact that he saved that squirrel. Man,
just to like go over the top in terms of like he'll see all life is precious to him.
Exactly. And that's what I love in this whole movie, is that I think each character has moments, and I hope I'm not like not remembering a moment, but I'm pretty sure every character stays so perfectly to their principles that like each actor took into account that like my character is like this, they're always going to do this. And it feels so good to see a movie that just feels really well put together in that way. You're not questioning anything. It goes so well together in its plot and pace, and you just by the end of it feel good. Like at the end, I just remember being like, that just felt good. That was good. Even the the mid-credit and post-credit scenes weren't that exciting.
They were fantastic. The guy pets a dog.
That is a pretty good mid-credit scene. Yeah, they're just sitting on the moon, petting Krypto. And then, that was kind of fun. That he's like chiding Mr.Terrific a tiny bit of like, yeah, it's not super symmetrical the way you put the world back together. He's just like, oh, fine, whatever. He's like, man, I could be a jerk sometimes, says Superman. One other thing to mention about the movie, Supergirl showing up.
Yeah,
a party girl.
She sure did.
Alan Tudyk's robot talking to Superman, being like, man, she has no control over that dog. It's really sad. She really needs to teach him discipline. Apparently, like, James Gunn is like, yeah, no, our Supergirl's going to be like traumatized. It's going to be bad. And so he's already said like, yeah, no, her being like kind of a shitty owner to Krypto is going to be indicative of a lot of other stuff. So I'm interested to see how that is. That actress also was the younger version of the lady from House of the Dragon.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was like her breakout role.
That's crazy. I didn't recognize her at all.
Yeah, her in not like a tutor's outfit really looks like a different human being. Yeah, I think it's time to go into some trivia.
Super trivia.
So yes, the actress that plays Lois Lane, I loved her in Marvelous Miss Maisel, and I like the way that this movie has kind of that Art Deco style while still having smartphones. Yeah, like it's just a fun vibe, and I think that fits the world of DC, where like there's Coast City, there's Metropolis, there's Gotham. They all have.
You want to do that again without smacking your microphone?
No, I don't care. And so they all have their like fun design philosophies, but it's still in like modern day kind of thing.
They're visually distinct,
yes,
but they're like is a narrative, or there's a visual through line.
Yes, exactly. And so I think she fit really well in that like fast talking reporter kind of way, which felt very similar to Marvelous Miss Maisel. And this was a big thing. I mean, I don't think I'm going to show any of them in this video, but like their social media campaign for this was big. Apparently the actress that plays Lois was like deliberately like, hey, we should just do a bunch of TikTok type stuff. And so there was a lot of like TikTok skits of them. And the one that comes to mind, it was just really funny, is that it's the three of them sitting there, Jimmy, Lois, and Clark, and they're just sitting there talking. And then like Jimmy says something to Clark, and then he like takes off his glasses to wipe them, and he's like, who are you? It's like the actual actors doing it. And I love that. And the fact that they did the hypno glasses in the movie, I was
God,
like,
that was so funny.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Well, what if I was like, what if she didn't know that Superman was Clark? He was like, it's Clark Kent.
Yeah.
What if she didn't know that?
Yeah, God. Oh. And it's so funny too, because she's just like, man, he's so nice. He just tells people. And it's like he at least only tells the super people that he can trust. But I mean, it's also Superman.
I thought that. Wait, I gotta say, I thought that was. I couldn't tell if that was a joke or not. Lex doesn't know that Clark Kent's Superman.
Yeah, he's got the hypno glasses.
You're looking right at him.
Yeah, the hypno glasses are kind of silly, but
I don't think there are actual hypno glasses. I think they're just normal glasses. I think people are just making fun of that.
Well, that's what I mean. Guy Gardner saying it makes it sound like it's like Peacemaker talking about Aquaman. Like it's just some random crap he made up in his head. But like at the same time, I kind of believe it a bit more, because like there's no way that like that Lex Luthor would look at Clark Kent or bring up Clark Kent in conversation and just be like, yeah, they're different people. They don't have the exact same bone structure. Like I appreciate the fact that like Clark is wearing like ill-fitting clothing, and like his hair is deliberately the thing for Superman is that like as Clark Kent and as Superman, he parts his hair different ways. And so what I've heard is that this was before in the Christopher Reeve one, he would part his hair to the left, and then he would part his hair to the right as Superman, and that would show that like to the right he looks more put together, to the left he looks more goofy. And I like the way that they do that for Clark. They give him big stupid glasses, and yeah, of course they show him bumbling through the streets for 2 seconds, but like him just being a nerd with Jimmy Olsen is just fun, because like I'm glad they didn't make Jimmy like a teenager. I'm so glad. They're both in their 20s. He might be early 20s. He might be late 20s.
I got, what was it? My Adventure with Superman vibes.
Yes.
Off of their dynamic.
Yeah, the three of them.
Where all three of them are like, they're around the same age. They all like jive with each other. They are a unit.
Yes.
That likes to hang out.
David Cornsweet, I think is his name. He is like a traditionally trained actor. He went to Juilliard. So it's really interesting to me that his like every interview he's done, he's kind of like shy and timid a little bit. He hasn't done like this kind of a circuit before. And so they actually did one of those other memes where I don't know if you've seen these TikToks where it's like someone saying like, hey, my boyfriend just got like a really cool Lego, and so he's going to show it to you and you better not laugh. And then they like walk behind him.
Yeah, I've seen those.
You've seen those? Yeah. And so they did one for him, and they're just like, hey, our co-star is going to come tell you about our movie and you better not laugh. And it's Lois, the actress that plays Lois, and the actor that plays Lex. And they just like go back, and it's so funny seeing him just be like, yeah, our movie's really cool. It's him, like the big burly guy. And then behind you can see Lex just being like,
every time he's in a movie, I want to see that movie the most.
Yes,
when he was in the menu, I was like, I don't even know what the hell this movie's about. He's probably gonna be the worst part of it. Have you seen The Great?
Fun fact: Nicholas Hoult was actually cast in the last Mission Impossible movie. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen Dead Reckoning 2 or whatever.
You haven't?
But, no, I haven't.
Bro.
Yeah.
Bro.
But apparently
it's so good.
He was cast to be like the final boss or whatever, because apparently he was going to work on something prior with Tom Cruise. And Tom Cruise was like, I like you. We'll make you the final boss or whatever. And then he didn't. He was really excited to. He didn't, because he was contractually obligated to do the newer season of The Great. So that's why he couldn't do it. He seems to be always at the wrong place at the right place, wrong time kind of thing.
Nah,
but
I think here's the sad thing is like, I think he's doing fine.
Right,
Everywhere
exactly,
he shows up is right where I want him to be.
Him as Beast was so good. Like what just inspired casting. And so from then on, I'm like, perfect. He's been great. He was great. My God, he was so good in Fury Road. Like he fits so well in all these movies. And so him as Lex Luthor, immediately I was like, I don't know how I feel about that, but then man, he fit right
the
in.
Intensity. The intensity, the moment he's on screen. Oh.
Yeah. So Nicholas Hoult and David Cornsweet were big Smallville fans. So it was really cute. But apparently, like looking at every interview, they're just talking about how much they love each other and they're like best bros.
That's good.
So yeah, Lex and
I love
Superman.
a villain dynamic where they're best bros behind the scenes.
Adorable. Love it. Now, this is my favorite piece of trivia from everything. Nathan Fillion and all of the other actors for the main cast are in a group chat. I don't remember if they named the group chat in the interview that I watched, but apparently in that group chat, Nathan Fillion doesn't text. He only sends GIFs of himself from movies. And so it's just GIFs of his face throughout the group chat. It's so funny.
God, that's legendary.
And in the interview, the woman that plays Hawk Girl, she says she's just like, I didn't know if I was to be intimidated or like think it was funny. I didn't really know what to make of the guy for the first half of it. But like she deliberately says, it's like, I just had never met somebody that was so enthralled with their own face. If anybody's gonna do it, it's Nathan Fillion.
He's earned it.
God, I love him so much. He specifically said his favorite GIF is the one from Castle that everybody knows of him going like, beautiful. Love him. Another fun thing during the interviews is that James Gunn said he played a lot of a specific game in the past year. He himself has been playing Balatro a lot. he literally like they're just like, so it was, I think it was with IGN. The guy's like, so I heard you're playing Balatro a lot. And he's like, yep, great game, love it. I played cards all the time, and so it really fit. And so he's just like, yeah, that was my, like the interviewer's like, that was my game of the year for last year. I was like, cool, I love it. Moving on or something. It's just fun. I'm glad that he, well, that, and this is separate from everything else, but Alan Tudyk, he plays the robot in the movie. This has nothing to do with anything in this movie. I just thought it was a really good interview. Apparently, him and Nathan Fillion, back when Halo was like coming out, were big Halo heads. Did you know that they have a bunch of voice acting credit in Halo 3?
No.
They
No?
are apparently they were such big fans that they finally got an in with Bungie, and they came in, or it might have been
I thought
343 at that
Nathan
time.
Fillion played like a Marine.
Yes, but he also played all of the background voices that were all like, "Yeah, let's do it. We're gonna kill the Covenant," and stuff like that. And Alan Tudyk in the interview said he's like, "Yeah, and I play all the weenie characters that are getting blown up, or just like I just want to go home," and it's really fun.
That's him?
Yes,
All
apparently.
the grunt birthday party guys are him?
Basically, no, I think he plays the Marine people,
Oh.
not the grunts. But it's really funny. He might actually. I mean, that makes sense for him to be the grunts as well. But it was just really funny hearing him say that in an interview of me being like, "I love Halo 3. This is a cool Easter egg."
I too am a nerd.
Yes, it's man. And that's what I love about this movie is I don't think there's a single actor that I'm just like, I don't really like them and stuff. They're all great. They're very good actors.
Everyone
across the
landed
board.
it.
Hell yeah.
Everyone did a great job. I'm considering Superman the anti Tron Ares, in that I want to see Tron Ares and I don't like anyone who's going to be in it.
God, the fact that they cast Jared Leto, like, what are we doing, man? The Nine Inch Nails music's going to be great, though.
Yeah.
Excited for that. Did you see the Rick and Morty sketch with Zack Snyder and James Gunn?
No.
You don't know about this?
No.
Okay, there's a scene where apparently like Rick breaks into like the Warner Brothers lot. I haven't seen the episode, but in the clip, there is Zack Snyder and James Gunn at like the canteen or whatever, where the commissary. Zack Snyder gets in the line. He's like, "Hey, can I get some creatine?" And then he's like, "Oh, hey, James Gunn, saw the last cut of Superman. You know, you could actually like make it way cooler because like he's not like he's the man of steel, not the man of talking. So like you should have him like punch more people." And there's this cool thing that like when he's punching, you can slow it down right before the punch. And then James Gunn's like, "Shut up! We all know you can do that." and he's just like, I'm sorry, Zack Snyder. I shouldn't have lashed out at you. There's just this guy, Rick Sanchez, that just came through and blah, blah, blah. And then Zack Snyder, he's just like, "Your biceps are so big. I don't know why I yelled at you." And then Zack Snyder is like, "Well, my biceps are big, but so is my heart. What's going on?" And it's such a good, I mean, I basically recounted the majority of it, but they were actually voicing themselves in that episode. That's their voices. So every time James Gunn says, "I don't know, Zack Snyder," he's just, it's him talking. And that's something that I also appreciate is that like James Gunn, I think, is like literally like the dude from Vinland Saga, where he just has no enemies. Like everybody in Hollywood understands that he's just like a cool guy and he gets stuff done and he's a good creator. So like him and Zack Snyder apparently just chill. They're all good. There's no animosity about the Superman movies. If anything, they probably like joke about it. It's really cool to see. Like everything around James Gunn just seems like, okay, we're chill. He's fine.
I mean,
everything's good.
It's just like a logical passing of the torch. You can't own a like thing forever. Well, Warner Brothers at some point was going to get someone else to take over.
But that's what I mean about how much we were talking about, like the difference between their movies and how much the Snyder fans have made it like a point of pride that like this is stupid. They should have gotten Zack Snyder again, and that like he has such a devout fan base that someone else getting to do Superman in itself is drama, even though like the actual creators don't really care that much.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, no, it's fine.
Zack Snyder's doing his own thing. He's ruining Star Wars with his new Star Wars.
Yeah. We'll see. So I honestly haven't seen any of those movies, the Rebel Moon ones.
I have only watched people reacting to them. I cannot actually watch. I've tried so hard to watch them and I cannot make it through them.
Yeah.
I've tried extremely hard to watch all the way through.
One other thing, Nathan Fillion, actually, somebody went out of their way in 2009 and made a fan casting of him as a Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was meant to be Hal Jordan.
That's what I was talking about earlier when I said,
really?
Finally, he's a Green Lantern.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
Yeah, he was supposed to be Hal Jordan, but he does a way better Guy Gardner.
Yeah, well, especially, I didn't know this, but like, I knew Guy Gardner was kind of like a bit of a bastard, but I didn't realize.
Oh, he's a gigantic douchebag.
Well, after, like, I watched this one, and I hope I can find it, but I watched this one YouTube short of this guy going over how much, like, Guy Gardner was just, like, a nice kid, and then went through, like, 8 or 9 times that the universe dicked him over, and then he got trapped in basically a pocket dimension, and then when he came back was a bit of a dick, and it's kind of fine. You know, I'm okay with him being a bit of a dick after being stuck in a pocket dimension. But like deliberately, the thing I heard was that his backstory is that when the first alien Green Lantern came to Earth, it was between Hal Jordan and Guy Gardner who were supposed to get the rings, and it just happened to be Hal Jordan. And then later on, they're like, don't worry, you're going to be the next one. And then another alien came to the planet, and it went to Jon Stewart.
Yeah.
And so he was the last one, and he was going to get another one, and then it gets trapped in a pocket dimension. And then apparently Green Lantern like dates his girlfriend. What the hell? And then so when they're about to get married or some crap, a guy gets broken out of this pocket dimension and then comes back and then becomes a Green Lantern. But understandably, he's kind of annoyed, kind of a dick.
But going back to like what I was talking about, where like James Gunn knew exactly who he was casting. Like, okay,
Yeah.
imagine this movie, but instead of those characters, you have Wonder Woman, Batman, and Hal Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
There's no convincing them to go intervene in a war.
Yeah,
Batman's already like, well, I don't want my parents to die.
Yeah.
And
I'm
Hal
not
Jordan's like,
leaving-
I'm already justice, man.
Well, exactly that. They're all free agents.
Exactly.
Like when you were talking about this, Batman, I'm like, he's not leaving Gotham for anything less than like something very important. So like every other superhero, kind of Coast City for Hal Jordan, all of them, like, but these superheroes are the ones that would be like out and about, like helping out.
But
know?
Batman is the only dude who would be like actively trying to like not outsmart, but like go toe to toe intellectually with Lex Luthor. You couldn't
Sure.
have like a DC Batman in that kind of movie, or even like someone like a Mr. Terrific is the kind of guy who would be self-interested enough to not want to mess with or not care about whatever Lex Luthor's up to this week.
Sure. Well, that's why I was really frustrated with Batman vs Superman, because man, having the three of them in that room for that one scene, I'm like, this is so good. I want more of this, and then they didn't really. So like, yeah, I love the Bruce Wayne Lex Luthor, like any
But also
rivalry.
but like
there.
that's the most annoying thing is like you let Lex Luthor play you Batman. Come on, guy, you're
Mhm.
smarter than this.
Yeah.
And so that's the like reason is like these are three people who just don't care.
Mhm.
They're not getting played because they don't care to play. And the fact that at the end of the movie they are ready to play because they have been convinced by their homeboy.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of it. That's understanding which version of characters you're going to go pick.
That's friendship. You love to see it.
Yeah, that's just his friends.
Now, David Cornsweet, he went on the Brittany Broski podcast,
I have
and
no
I
clue what
watched.
that is.
It's I don't even know how to describe the girl from this GIF. If I put it up, we'll see. But she has a really good podcast where she just like they all just meme and it's fun and like very unserious. And so he came on and he's talking about like all of his stuff, but she did a good amount of homework. Apparently, I didn't know. I don't really know this guy, but apparently in like all of his previous like movies and stuff he's like the dead husband of like everybody. He did it in like 2 roles. Maybe 3.
I just recognized him from his one role in Twisters where he plays like a dick.
I didn't even know he was in Twisters. I didn't even recognize that was him.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're not used to him being a dick.
So not only that, he's like, this is, I feel like his big break, but he was like a Shakespearean actor. Apparently on set, he was bitten by a goat one time. Go watch this interview. It's actually really fun. But the one fact that I thought you would really like is the fact that Brittany brings up, she's like, if you were to walk into a room and you had a theme song, what would it be? And guess what Brittany's was?
Material Girl.
No, it was the screaming from Dune. I thought you would
That was
love
just for me.
It was literally
That
just
joke
the,
was just for me.
Yeah. But then he said, and I think you'll also love this answer, was "You Know My Name," the Casino Royale theme song. Pretty respectable.
It's pretty good.
I mean, oh God, the more he talked in that interview, the more I'm like, man, I'm a theater kid. I feel exactly. There's so much
You
he was
should have gone to
saying.
Juilliard, Ken. What are you doing being an engineer?
Oh, shucks. I just have this YouTube channel. Something I didn't know is that, and people have brought this up a bunch, but the original Superman comic book was written by 2 Jewish men. And wow, they said that it was a Moses allegory, literally like a baby in a basket sent down the river between 2
Oh,
cultures.
wow. I never thought about that. I feel
Really?
really stupid that I never thought about that.
Right? Yeah, like it
It's
feels,
very obvious in
Yeah,
that
it feels kind of obvious. But like between 2 cultures and trying to, elevate everybody.
And Moses also had laser vision.
Exactly.
That's why that
yes.
bush was on fire.
That's how he parted the seas.
Yes.
And so, interestingly enough, Kal-El apparently comes from, I think it's Yiddish. I'm trying to remember exactly, but apparently it means voice of God. So like his Kryptonian
I remember that
name,
from The Last Crusade.
but Kal-El starts with a Q or whatever. Yeah, God. Oh man, we saw Last Crusade in the. Wait, no. Was that Last Crusade?
Yeah, we saw Last Crusade in the theaters, and we were like, we're all gonna fall asleep during this movie because we're all old men.
And none of us did because it was that good. I was surprised. I was really surprised we didn't fall asleep.
Two Jewish men create Superman, and a Superman is a story that has evolved with the culture that it represents. Sure. And right now, for some reason, the entire internet has decided that Superman is woke because it's about an alien immigrant origin story representing minorities.
And it is.
And it's like, guys, I don't know how to tell you this. Superman isn't woke. You just grew up to be a shitty person.
Yeah, it really is.
Like, if your heroes didn't change, you just suck.
As I wade through this topic, I'm going to move back to trivia. So, like I said before, the part of Lex Luthor was inspired by Gene Hackman's Lex from the Christopher Reeves,
who still had hair.
Yes, but it was also impacted by Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex from Smallville. Mm-hmm. Michael Rosenbaum is actually in a bunch of James Gunn movies, and so he was one of the background aliens in Guardians of the Galaxy. I think it was 2. It might have been 2 or 3. He was like an ice alien looking guy, and he was also in this movie. So Lex makes a return as one of the voices of the gruff raptor like flying guys. So I thought that was a fun little Easter egg.
That is pretty fun.
Yeah, is that previous Lex comes back and hangs out with new Lex. Also, I told you that Nicholas Hoult was passed over for the part of Batman, which is hilarious to me. That like I really do like the Robert Pattinson Batman. I cannot wait for them to finish that second movie. That'd be very nice. Please.
Is that tied into this universe? Because I thought the only other movie that's tied into this universe canonically is The Suicide Squad.
Yes. And that's what I find funny is like, there was also another Rick Flag in this movie, wasn't there? Like, dude literally said General Flag and they called him Rick. So I'm a bit confused about that, if that's supposed to be like Rick Flag's dad.
So technically the Rick Flag, according to Creature Commandos, the Rick Flag that died in The Suicide Squad is Rick Flag Jr.
Yes, exactly.
So that could have been Rick Flag Sr.
Sure.
And I think you were talking about the guy who was like, I'm sorry, son, when he's going to like, was it one of the senator dudes?
Yeah, it was one of the people at the round table.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ironically, the guy who played the like guy from Captain America who was supposed to take Captain America, I was like, we're all watching this, right? This is weird, right?
So that actor, playing Rick Flag was interesting. But what I found interesting about the Suicide Squad is that apparently during that entire time that like James Gunn was basically being let go from Disney, apparently it was pretty quick turnaround that they did legitimately let him go. But then soon after, like the management was like, this doesn't make any sense. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, I guess we're allergic to money.
Yeah. So much so that apparently what happened was he went and met with the DC execs, and then they said like, hey, we want you for a movie. And he's like, well, I could do the Suicide Squad. And they were like, yeah, let's do it. Literally that afternoon, he got the phone call from Disney saying like, hey, could you come back for a meeting tomorrow? And then he met back with them and they were just like, hey, we want you back. We like what you do. And apparently like during that meeting, he's like, yeah, that's all fine, but here's all this other stuff. And they're like, oh, wow. Okay, well, we'll make it work. And so that was before he became, the head of DC or co-CEO. But apparently he met with Kevin Feige, and when he met, apparently Kevin Feige just has a basement full of like Star Wars and Marvel figurines. And they were just like
nerd.
I hate to say it, but I love all these like. Apparently that was the same thing that like Kevin Feige and Jon Favreau were just playing with like Marvel toys when they came up with a bunch of the stuff for Iron Man. Like I love all these things of like these people just being like, we're just big nerds. Leave us alone. It's fine.
Yeah, and can we finally start making movies so that I can be the guy who makes all the Gundam movies?
Hell yeah.
I want to ruin the franchise. I want to be the guy who ruins the franchise.
And then we get to play with all the toys.
Yeah, I have so many of them. Are you kidding me? Have you seen my shelf?
Yeah. But yeah, apparently during that conversation,
I'm gonna ruin Zeta Gundam.
Oh God.
You don't even know Zeta Gundam, but I'm gonna ruin it.
I know enough. But during that conversation with Kevin Feige, he asked him, he's just like, hey, I'm going to be, doing this project. So I just want you to know, no hard feelings. I'm good to come back for Marvel. And then Kevin like took a long sigh and he said, did they get you to do Superman? And apparently he didn't even think about it until recent interviews when he was just like, wait, yeah, he did ask me if I got Superman several years ago. So it's really funny, like full circle it coming back like this. One small Easter egg that's really stupid is the fact that the actress that plays Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy, people kept saying, like, is she in Superman? Like, or is she going to make a cameo or stuff like that? I don't know why. And he's like, she will not be in the movie. I'm telling you all. Guess who voiced one of the robots?
Was it Mantis?
It was her. He can't stop himself from bringing in his friends to do stuff. Also, David Cornsweet has said that if he wasn't an actor, he would go be a pilot because he likes the responsibility of being a pilot and the kind of flying and the freedom of flying. So it's kind of funny that, like,
So he became Superman.
Yeah, I know. Like, it's literally him describing that he would love to also be Superman in real life, and that's being
like
a
the
pilot.
responsibility of saving humanity and also flying.
You remember Black Adam, right?
Yeah, it was great. It was a really good movie where nothing bad happened and it was very well done. And Pierce Brosnan was there, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my God, he was. He's probably the best part for me. Man, I love that.
I love Dr. Fate. I couldn't believe that they put him in a mainline movie and then didn't ruin it. It was a very well executed film that was done very well. Can anyone tell that I'm being sarcastic? Can you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I looking at this one? That one?
You
that
can
one?
look at whichever
That
one.
one?
That one.
That
There
one?
you go.
That one.
Point.
That one.
Oh my God.
That one.
Please.
That one. That one.
So Black Adam came out. And apparently, there was that entire moment where Henry Cavill comes back as Superman and says, like, we're going to have a big fight. 2 weeks after that, or 3 weeks after that, James Gunn came on and they basically rebooted everything. So apparently there was, like, very little daylight between them trying to reboot the entire series and James Gunn being like, no, goodbye. So, yeah, it was a really, really lovely foray into the DC universe. And I'm very excited to see where they go from here.
I want to see more of the Suicide Squad folks come back and have to deal with Superman.
Hell yeah. Oh my God, that's going to be, man, dude, that was a really good movie. I think I forget who I was talking to, but, like, we were talking about the Suicide Squad movie and we were hanging out. I'm like, can we just watch it a little bit? And they're like, well, I don't have time for the whole movie. I'm like, you only need to see the beginning. And like that intro is probably one of my favorite, like, movie intros in recent memory. I was just like, yeah, here we go. Here's your characters. Yeah, they're totally going to be around for the rest of the movie.
This is extremely well executed. Meet the crew. There's the squad. Here's your characters and their cool intros. And oh my God.
Yeah. Whoa. Holy moly. So yeah, thank you guys so much for sticking with us in this episode, and let us know how you like the Superman movie. What'd you like about it? Did you like Lex Luthor? Is he bald?
Or tell us what you didn't like about it.
No,
or
don't
start a small fight in the comments. Whatever gets us more engagement.
Okay. I have to moderate those.
No, you don't. That's the beauty of YouTube.